my report today. I do want to welcome everyone that is in the house, including all of the new subscribers. I am in gratitude to each and every single one of you. And for those that are on my channel or are just stumbling upon my channel, just don't forget to subscribe. And for everyone to please hit that like button. That helps my channel grow, especially if you subscribe. I also wanted to remind you guys that this weekend, the Alien event in Los Angeles, where I will be attending, and my presentation is Saturday from 1:30 to 2:30, or I'm sorry, from 2:30 in the afternoon to 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, and I believe that I will be on the Secret Space Program panel, as well as the AI transhumanist panel. Well, I'm against that, so yes, I'm going to be speaking as to why I don't believe in the AI transhumanism agenda. So I'm going to be on several panels for those that make it this weekend at the Sonosta Hotel. It'll be great to meet you in person. I also want to remind you guys, for those that are new, I know I get about a few hundred new subscribers per day. So for those that don't know who I am, my name is Ismael Perez, and I'm the author of 2 amazing books that are restoring information that is crucial for the times that we're living. One of them is called The Secret Government: Invisible Architects, and the other one is my groundbreaking book revealing the next level of disclosure, Our Cosmic Origin, both of which are available on Amazon. And with no further ado, all right, let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into it. So, as you guys know, Argentina is scheduled to release the secret documents about the Nazis that were transferred over to South America after the year 1945. So apparently, the person that blew himself up was a double, was not the real Hitler. The real Hitler actually survived with a lot of prominent scientists and leaders within this organization, and lived, and some people believe that he still lives, right? He's been using advanced alien technology to stay alive, but some people believe that he fathered many children, including the mother of Barack Obama, and lived a full life in Argentina. Okay, so these documents are about to be released by the Argentinian government, which is, again, part of the global disclosure. It's not just happening here in the States, but as Argentina reveals these documents, it's going to create a lot of implications, or it's going to actually open up the door for other governments to also release their classified information. So yes, it is going to be a global thing, what they call the Great Awakening. So in these documents, apparently, both CIA and FBI reports confirmed that Adolf Hitler escaped to Argentina after the war and lived there for a very, very old age, okay? In addition, I also want to talk about how recently, as you guys know, within the last few days, the Ukrainian intelligence tried to assassinate Putin, right? But apparently Putin survived, and the presidential limousine that was hit near his mortar cars exploded in the streets of Moscow, right next to their headquarters. And according to Shot, and Anus Senate caught fire in central Moscow the day right after. That day that happened, the fire began in the engine compartment on, I can't even, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but the Sretinka Street, and spread to the cabin. Emergency crews arrived quickly and extinguished the blaze. So apparently there was no injuries, and apparently Putin was in there. And there is a reason why Putin was in there in his limousine when it was blown up, because of the fact that he is part of the alliance, and through looking glass technology, that he was able to foresee this coup that was conducted by, of course, the Ukrainian regime. Okay, so despite the rumors that have been circulating online, this was not President Putin's vehicle, right? They missed. Of course they were going to miss. Putin is ahead of the game, right? He's part of the alliance. And that's the reason why he didn't retaliate with nukes, because, in the event that he was really close to dying, he probably would have been retaliating with nukes, okay? But there's another reason why, and I'll explain it in a little bit. So one of the Russian president's official limousines, excuse me, 1 second, let me drink some tea before I go back into this. So let's be real here, guys, the days before this incident occurred, right, Zelensky was publicly prophesying Putin's death on the media. And it was a convenient timing with Zelensky's prophecy, right, which was a classic pre-signaling tactic used by intelligence. I would have to say he's working with Mossad and Zionist, right? intelligences before major political shifts. Not how this happens near, of course, their headquarters. It was no coincidence, suggesting either an inside job or a carefully orchestrated message to Putin's inner circle. So again, as a reminder, this is a war not between two different countries, but a war between the globalist and the international alliance. Okay, that's what this is all about. And as you guys know, Ukraine has been the headquarters of the Khazarian mafia for centuries. Okay, so Zelensky doesn't speak like a president anymore, right? He speaks like a cult prophet, calling down fire, right? First, there was no election, right? Let's be real. He was an actor. He was just kind of put there in power, right? He wasn't elected by the people. Then there was no peace, right? When they were trying to expand NATO. Now it's openly fantastic. The best way to describe it is that now it's openly, you could say, he's been openly talking and fantasizing, there we go, about Putin's death, okay? Days later, a bomb, of course, goes right outside the Russian headquarters, but apparently Putin wasn't there. So if this was reversed, let's just think about this for a second. If it was the other way around, if Putin was the one that was trying to attempt an assassination on what's his name, on Zelensky, then Putin would have been called a what? A terrorist by the media of the United States government. But because it was Zelensky, the media decided to just shrug about it, right? Did you guys hear about it in the media? Heck no. But it was all over the alternative media, So the narrative obviously gets a quote of fresh paint because it was the Zelensky, not Putin, doing that, and the blood trails get ignored. Okay, let's be blunt here. There is no longer a war to defend Ukraine, right? There is a full-blown escalation cult with Zelensky as the high priest of destruction, right? He's being used just like Napoleon was used, just like Hitler was used, sacrificing diplomacy on the altar of Western weapons. And the worst part of it all is that every new provocation, every missile demand, every delusion about victory just drags the world closer to a cliff that no one can survive. So you don't speak peace while plotting death, is what I'm trying to say, right? You don't secure your people by poking a nuclear superpower in the eyes. That was a huge mistake by the Ukrainian intelligence. And you damn sure don't lead the world by praying for assassination on camera, right? He gave himself up. So this is now a reason for the alliance to take out this actor, because the real Zelensky was taken out, but this is an actor, by the way. And it's time that the West stops treating Zelensky like a hero. We're talking about the deep state, the mainstream, and ABC, MSM, whatever you want to call them, and let's start treating him like the reckless powder keg that he is truly, okay? Because this isn't a nightmare, guys. This is what happens when the ego and power and propaganda outrun common sense. Well, on a good note, besides this, bit of bad news, right? On a good note, the World Health Organization placed to downsize staff and scale back operations as it's cut its budgets due to the U.S. funding reductions. Okay, so the World Health Organization is downsizing their staff. Okay, apparently Doge is expanding internationally, not just here in the U.S. It's happening in the U.K. as well, for those that live in Europe, or in the U.K. at least. So in addition to that, thanks to, of course, Maha and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Peter Marks, who was the U.S. Food and Drug Administrator's top that official, he was in charge of the injection, has resigned, okay? So this guy has apparently resigned, and a lot of that is credited to, of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. All right, so let's continue here. Elon Musk announced that he will step down from Doge in May, so he's going to be continuing to lead the Department of Energy Efficiency up until May, one more month, right? Completing most of the work needed to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. So that is the goal for Doge and Elon Musk, is once he gets to reduce the deficit for at least $1 trillion, he is going to stop, because he admitted it, that his companies are suffering, that his sacrifice to help the U.S. government, or to help the alliance dig up all this dirt and audit the government, the federal government, has been a huge loss for his own personal companies, and he did admit that several times. So he did give himself one more month to at least cut the budget, or at least reduce it down to 1 trillion. Okay, so Doge is only going to be doing it for one more month. But guys, in that 1 month period, you realize they're going to be auditing Medicare, everything. It's every agency. This is just the beginning. Okay, so in addition to that, other good news, a declassified. Well, let me explain this. A lot of you guys are asking me about the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so there was a document that was released recently in the last few days that is blowing the lid as to what this thing was. It was actually a technology that was given to humans by the gods, the angels, the extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them. And there were apparently some duplicates. There were a total of 3. And rumor has it that one of those 3 was actually in Mar-a-Lago, okay, which many people believe that was one of the other reasons why the FBI raided it. All right, well, according to a declassified CIA document, okay, that just came out recently. Turns out that in the year 1988, through a covert psychic spy program called Project Sunstreak, okay, the Ark of the Covenant was actually found and immediately buried by the deep state, okay? So it was actually described with the people the archaeologists that found this, okay? They actually described it exactly the way the Bible says it. It had gold, it had wood, and don't believe it or not, a wing, how can I say this? A 6-winged angel. Okay, so apparently it was being protected by an interdimensional, an angel, a positive ET, whatever you want to call it, which acted as a deadly guardian. I'm talking about the real Ark of the Covenant. This wasn't just folklore, guys, okay? It was a full-blown military intel op. The Ark was actually real. It was located, confirmed, then classified at the highest levels. All right, this was one of the most highest sensitive documents. So it wasn't apparently lost. It was just hidden, right? On purpose, right? This was no archaeological accident, right? The CIA deployed psychic assets, trained to remote view classified targets, and they hit the bullseye, a coffin-shaped object made out of wood and gold, radiating energy, surrounded by non-human protectors. These non-human protectors, the Bible calls them the 6-winged angels, but they are actually no other than the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians. Again, for those that are new to my work, one of the things that I kind of put together and make a correlation in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, is the fact that what we call non-terrestrials today are the same beings that many of the holy books call the angels. Okay, the positive ETs are no other than the angels in the Bible, and in like manner, the positive gods or the guardians of old during the days of Atlantis were no other than, of course, the positive non-terrestrials. So this wasn't just history, guys. Okay, this wasn't just a myth. The Ark of the Covenant was designed for multiple reasons, but the primary reason, it was a divine weapon that was a gift to the people of God in ancient times as they were fighting a war against the reptilian descendants, right? Their opposites. Those that suffered from a high concentration of reptilian genetics. For those that have read The Secret Government, you know what I'm talking about. So the Ark has the power to, again, level armies, right? Burn cities and shatter empires like that, right? It is an advanced extraterrestrial weapon system. And that's why they needed to seal it, right? That's why throughout history, the Brotherhood of Light, through the Knights Templars, the Guardians of the Holy Grail, but even further than that, going back to, how it was housed in the Temple of Solomon. If this object, if this relic would have gotten in the hands of the wicked or somebody of the opposite brotherhood, which is what I call the Babylonian Dark Brotherhood, they would have used it for evil. Okay, so apparently the Alliance, which has always existed, by the way, right? People think that the Alliance is a new movement that began with, Q and Kennedy and furthermore, what's his name? Eisenhower. No, the Alliance goes way back. It goes all the way back to Abraham King David and Solomon. Okay, all right. So, anyways, let's continue here. So, this project that is related to the, of course, unveiling and the discovery of the real Ark of the Covenant and restoring it in a safe spot, safeguarding it from those that are part of the cabal, right? Because they would always want to use this for evil, right? To take over the planet, and they would have, right? It is a weapon of mass destruction. So they called it, the Alliance called it Project Sunstreak, okay? So when the CIA went paranormal, and this is also another thing that happened in the 1960s, right? The CIA unleashed psychic warriors, right? There were so many covert projects, Project Stargate, dealing with developing and enhancing superhuman abilities beyond telekinesis and telepathy. There was also other projects designed to, create remote viewers, right? So all of these projects existed, right? Within the shadow government, they've always understood rather the supernatural, right? And that's why they've always told us to shine away from that while they were exploring it. Well, anyways, going back to this discovery. So the government sanctioned this project. The CIA unleashed a psychic warrior project that government sanctioned the usage of telepathy, right, through this operation. Where the eyes were able to go beyond time and space, where people were trained to remote view in order to locate, to see where the actual Ark of the Covenant would be, right? So apparently it was founded by the military, and I'm talking about the White Hat military. So this was not done by the counterintelligence. Apparently this was done by the White Hats that have infiltrated a great degree of the CIA, all right? Apparently that's just a small percentage, but the great percentage of the CIA has been counterintelligence working for the deep state. But we're talking about that small percentage working for the Alliance, okay? So they weren't just spying, trying to find it. They were actually hunting for this ancient power, okay? And when they looked at the Ark, they found it and they panicked. Let's just be real. They panicked because they didn't know if it was still operational, right? The Ark was symbolic. It had radiating fields around it, right? And again, a lot of this has a lot to do with the fact that this covenant, or this Ark of the Covenant, was always protected by interdimensional non-terrestrials, or what the Bible calls the six-winged angels, okay? It also had the ability for lethal spiritual defenses. In other words, it had guardian entities that were confirmed in the intel briefing. So apparently, the guardian entities, right, the non-terrestrials that the Bible calls the six-winged angels, also the Pleiadians, known as the Pleiadians, they were actually there waiting for the Alliance to discover it. So they were making sure that the cabal, or that the NWO, right, the Illuminati families, did not get to the Ark of the Covenant before the Alliance did. So this was a brave move by the non-terrestrials, also known as the guardian entities of the covenant. So why all the cover-up? Why all the cover-up about the Ark of the Covenant? Well, first and foremost, it proves that the Ark definitely proves the existence of God and that God is real, okay? It also proves that his laws do exist, right? And a lot of this is not the law of religion, is the universal laws of unity consciousness, the laws of one, also known as the raw material, which are universal principles in which people need to abide by in order to live in a harmonious heaven on earth type of society, right? And so it proved that God was real. It proved that these laws exist, the laws of unity consciousness, the laws of one. And it also obliterates every lie pushed by globalist, atheist, and corrupt institutions in terms of providing proof of the supernatural. Well, modern power collapses all ancient truth stands. Let me just repeat that. Modern power collapses if ancient truth stands. Okay? Modern power collapses when ancient truth stands. So the buried, when they bury the Ark, because it destroys whole civilizations, they did it knowing that the time would come for members of the Alliance, which are connected to the Brotherhood of Light, the Order of Melchizedek, by the way, right? Even the Alliance, right? The good guys are also part of you could say they also have their own priesthoods, right? So the order of Melchizedek, the high priesthood of Melchizedek, has always been associated with the guardians of these relics. Okay, so these non-terrestrials, when they buried the real Ark of the Covenant, and that's why they created duplicates so that they could confuse the cabal, over the centuries, so that they won't find the real one. So they did it in a way where they knew that a time would come where the Alliance would actually discover it and therefore be in the hands of the good guys. Okay, so I'm not going to reveal the location because a lot of people are speculating that it's Ethiopia. Well, I'll tell you guys this. It is possibly near the region of Ethiopia. It's definitely somewhere in the Middle East, but I'm not going to say exactly where. The Ark is protected, okay, by radiation. It senses your energy. If your energy is vibrating at a low frequency, if it reads your energy and senses your malintentions, well, guess what? You're going to die of radiation. Okay, that's how it was protected by the Cabal. Every time the Cabal throughout history sent agents to try to recover this relic, they would literally disintegrate within 10 feet of proximity. Okay, yeah, that's how it was protected by these 6-winged angels, also known as the Pleiadians. And the divine force, of course, that anyone could will, if they're righteous, is beyond anything, guys. And this is the reason why God's chosen people in the Old Testament were capable of always winning the wars against the Canaanites and those that were revealed as unpure, right? The Babylonians and all of the enemies of God, which, again, they were contaminated with a high concentration of reptilian genetics. And that's why they were the enemies of God. A lot of this it boils down to the war between the angelic seed, or the seed of God, and the seed of the serpent. All right, well, let's continue. So for 37 years, the elites ran black ops, right? In an effort to try to discover this, they mocked the believers, right? And they tried to remote view it, but they couldn't get to it, right? They couldn't get to it. But the Alliance was successful in getting to it. And they discovered it inside a wooden box, all right? So the Ark is apparently real, the real one, guys, right? It is definitely a supernatural object of something. So its power is real. And the fear in the best way to say it is that the fear in what they tell you about the Ark is only in direct relationship to those that are not vibrating with a good heart. That's the best way to describe it, because the Ark senses your intentions when you are exactly 10 feet in proximity. Now, I also wanted to let you guys know that due to the fact that, the U.S., what is called the U.S. is getting ready. So supposedly the U.S. is getting ready to bomb Iran. I don't know if that's accurate, but what I do know is that the airplane, they call it the what's the name for it? The airplane where they take the president to a bunker was reported yesterday. Okay, they believe that Trump. Yeah, it's called the Presidential Doomsday. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. It's called the Presidential Doomsday airplane. Did fly over a certain base. And then this base is supposedly what they call the U.S. headquarters of strategic defense. So I don't know if it's if it's real. I hope it's not the case. But in the event that is real, I mentioned this before, and I'll mention this again. Is that we still have the element of the Galactic Alliance, okay, and this will actually give them a reason to intervene, okay. So in the event, apparently, that any nation, and this is coming from Commander Valiant Thor, in the event that any nation on the earth decides to initiate a nuclear strike, right, the consequences would be very catastrophic, apparently, not only for the planet, but also for the entire galactic community, the broader cosmic community, okay? This is coming from Commander Valiant Thor. The threat posed by nuclear warfare has long been a concern for humanity. But as the universe potential for life expands, it is speculated that higher forms of intelligence may be watching, and they are, okay? In a scenario, the Galactic Alliance, right, which is an interstellar coalition of advanced civilizations that used to be known as the Galactic Federation of Worlds, would apparently execute an intervention. Okay, this is coming from Valiant Thor. It is believed that they have been tasked with preventing the use of nuclear weapons on this planet for a very long time, and ensuring that the catastrophe, if it escalates, is indeed halted. Okay, so this intervention would involve shutting down all nuclear systems on the planet, effectively neutralizing the threat before it could even spiral out of control. And the following, you could say, in the event, again, once again, that any country decides to nuke another country, they're going to fail. They're going to fail because the role of the Galactic Alliance is to preserve what is known as universal security here on this planet. Universal security here on this planet. The Galactic Alliance, in this speculative scenario, is represented by a unified body of highly advanced civilizations that have developed not only the technological prowess to monitor and intervene in the affairs of any less developed civilizations, but also they are committed to universal peace and security. The primary mission of the Galactic Alliance would be to prevent the use of catastrophic technologies such as nuclear weapons, which pose a risk not only to the planet in question, but also to the delicate balance of the entire universe, okay? The entire universe. They call that the butterfly effect. Advanced civilizations within the Alliance would likely recognize the dangers posed by nuclear weapons, not just for their ability to destroy life, but also for their potential to disrupt it, okay? But not only disrupt life here on the Earth, but the entire cosmic fabric, if you want to get technical. So the destruction of the planet, this one, would be as reckless, right? The destruction of any planet, not just this one. The destruction of a planet on the reckless use of weapons that can poison environments and life for millennia would have far-reaching consequences, potentially affecting neighborhood star systems and even altering the trajectory of an entire galaxy. As such, the Galactic Alliance intervention would be both an act of preservation and a proactive measure to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. So there is some sort of galactic protocol that they call the emergency intervention in the event that somebody decides to launch not only a nuke, but also an intercontinental ballistic missile. So in the event, of course, that anybody decides to launch the nuke, the Galactic Alliance would likely follow a set of emergency protocols to neutralize the threat and prevent the escalation of violence. The first step in this process would be the detection of the imminent threat. Given the advanced surveillance capabilities of the Galactic Alliance, monitoring Earth's activities would be relatively simple. This detection would not be limited to traditional methods of intelligence gathering, such as satellite observation or communications interception. Instead, the Alliance would employ quantum-based technologies and interdimensional monitoring systems that would immediately identify any attempt to access nuclear launch systems. Okay, so we don't have to worry about anything, guys. All right? Just like the Bible says, in the end of days, you're going to hear rumors of war right before the second coming, right? Right before the kingdom of God comes back. Well, once the threat is detected, okay, the Galactic Alliance would likely initiate contact with the relevant authorities on the Earth. And that's one of the reasons why Mr. Putin didn't retaliate after the Ukrainian intelligence tried to assassinate him a few days ago. Because Putin is under the control of the Galactic Alliance. Indirect control, you could say. But yeah, he has to follow their protocols as one of the leaders of the Alliance. And that's why I'm starting to think that, because there are multiple Trumps, I'm starting to think that the AI generated Trump, the Trump that initiated Project Warp Speed, the Trump that's been, you could say, talking about cryptocurrency, this could be the negative Trump that is saying that he's going to nuke Iran perhaps on April Fools. So I'm not really too sure on that, because what I do know is that the real Trump, who is being secured in Cheyenne Mountain, right, will never go for that. Okay? In fact, think about it. Why would he contradict himself? Why is he trying to end the war with Ukraine and Russia, right, by establishing a ceasefire pact between them, while at the same time trying to nuke Iran? It just would make no sense, okay? So the contact would take the form of a direct communication with the Earth's leader, and this goes for all the world leaders, not just those that are part of the alliance. We're talking about the leaders of Iran as well, right? Conveying the severity of the situation, demanding an immediate ceasefire, an immediate cessation of the nuclear launch. However, in cases when diplomatic or peaceful resolutions are not feasible, the alliance response would become far more direct and hands-on. So the next step in the intervention process would be the disabling of the nuclear systems on the planet. And we're talking about all of them worldwide. This action would be carried out through a combination of technological mechanisms, such as the remote deactivation of launch codes, disabling of communication networks, and the complete shutdown of nuclear arsenals. This would not be a simple disarming of individual warheads, but a comprehensive systematic failure, ensuring that all systems involved in the potential launch of nuclear weapons would be completely neutralized. This would obviously prevent any further escalation and secure the planet's safety from the immediate threat of annihilation. And another thing that Commander Valiant Thor wants me to share is about the grid system shutdown, okay? As you guys know, the Galactics also have the technology to deactivate the grid system, which means that no nukes, no weapons, nothing is launched, okay? The grid system shutdown is part of a protocol known as the Cosmic Safety Net, all right? The Cosmic Safety Net. So central to the Galactic Alliance intervention would be the concept of the grid, right? Which is an intergalactic security system that could be used to shut down dangerous technologies on a planetary scale. The grid would function as a cosmic safety net, an advanced technological protocol that allows the Galactic Alliance to prevent the deployment of the deployment of destructive weapons like nuclear bombs. The grid would likely be an integrated system of energy fields, communication interference, and cognitive feedback mechanisms that could override and shut down any dangerous technological infrastructure. Upon the detection of the nuclear threat, the grid would essentially lock down all systems associated with nuclear weaponry, rendering them inert and preventing activation. The grid's power would not just be limited to the Earth's nuclear arsenals, but could extend to any system capable of launching destructive weapons such as missile silos, command centers, and military satellites. The power of the grid system would be such that it could actually be quick and precise, ensuring that no mistakes or collateral damage could occur during the intervention. All right, this is a blueprint of the Galactic Alliance intervention in the event that somebody accidentally or not accidentally, let's just be real, intentionally presses the red button, okay? So, the shutdown would be global, guys. The shutdown would be global, all right? Not to mention, the ships are going to be shown everywhere. The lid on disclosure is going to be blown. By then, everyone's going to know that we were never alone in the universe. So this is perfect. Yeah, let somebody launch a nuke. We'll see what happens. It's going to lead to disclosure. It's going to lead to first contact. So I dare anyone to press the red button at this time and watch what the Galactics are going to do. So the shutdown would be global, covering all nations and systems that may attempt to use nuclear weapons, creating a unified peaceful standstill that would prevent escalation into full-scale war. Okay, well, there are apparently ethical implications of galactic intervention, okay? aside by the law of non-interference, which is their prime directive, the only time an advanced civilization could intervene in an underdeveloped civilization that is still somewhat primitive, right, is if that civilization is at the risk of destruction. That is the only time that they could intervene. So that is the only time that they could actually override what they call in Star Trek the prime directive, okay? Because the interstellar police force known as the Galactic Alliance does operate by a prime directive, right? So there are laws everywhere to be followed, as long as, laws that are compliant to living in harmony and in cooperation with other species. So yes, these laws are universal laws, guys. They're very similar to the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. Common sense. So the question of whether or not a cosmic civilization should intervene in the affairs of a developing species or underdeveloping species, such as humanity, raises important ethical questions, all right? Some people might ask, well, at this point, the Galactic Alliance has been given full directive, you could say, they've been given permission to do so, okay? Because the protection of life and the prevention of planetary destruction, especially here on the Earth, are valid reasons for this intervention. The act of intervening could be perceived as a violation of sovereignty and autonomy, as some of the world governments might claim, but in essence, it's part of the liberation of planet Earth, okay? And the leaders of the Earth know about this, right? They know. A lot of them know, okay? They know that the galactics are real, right? Wasn't it Haim Ashed, the ex, you could say, what was he, the ex-chief director of the Israeli Space Agency 3 years ago, when he came out and he said that there is a galactic federation of aliens, that Trump knows about it, and a lot of governments are in on it? Well, there's the proof, guys. Not to mention, to back him up, was the Canadian, believe was prime minister, not prime minister, but he was he was part of the defense, the space defense. I forget what his position was, but he went by the name of Paul Hellyer. So Paul Hellyer from Canada also admitted that there is some sort of federation of aliens, right? And that every government is aware of them, okay? So the leaders of the Earth overall may view the Galactic Alliance intervention as an infringement, all right, on their ability to, again, govern their own planet, but they also have been given the warning that their time is up, okay? And this is what the Bible calls, or what the Bible tells us in reference to how Satan was only given temporary control of this planet. Well, Satan is the extraterrestrial, non-human entity that has been running the cabal since Babylonian times, and his Babylonian name was Belial or Baal, okay? That's who Satan was, the son of Enki, right? A fallen Anunnaki. So, however, given the history of nuclear weapons and their catastrophic potential, one could argue that the moral obligation of the Galactic Alliance is to ensure that a underdeveloped species is capable of such destruction power does not engender the larger cosmic community, okay? So they are ensured, and this is part of their protocols, galactic protocols, if you want to call it that a species capable of such destructive power, which is the usage of nuclear weapons, does not endanger the larger cosmic community, okay? Because nuclear weapons, believe it or not, guys, are not simply just weapons of mass destruction. They are symbols of, you could say, species potential for self-destruction, all right? So the intervention then is not an act of conquest, all right? Because the governments might say, oh, they're here to conquer us, right? They're here to conquer us. No. In the event that somebody presses the red button and the ships just show up everywhere, it is not going to be an act of conquest or control. It is going to be an act of protection and preservation, okay? I'm just letting you guys know. So in this sense, the Galactic Alliance could be seen as a guardian force, right? Intervening only when necessary to ensure the survival of planet Earth and the broader galactic harmony, okay? Because, again, like the butterfly effect, like quantum entanglement, what happens here will definitely have dire repercussions across the entire cosmos, okay? Moreover, the Galactic Alliance intervention could be framed as a lesson to humanity, a sign that the use of such destructive technologies comes with dire consequences. The shutting down of the grid would not just neutralize the immediate threat, but would actually serve as a wake-up call to Earth leaders, all right, forcing them to reconsider the consequences of nuclear weapons and to seek more peaceful paths toward conflict resolution. At this point, they would be forced to eliminate their entire weapons, which was something that was actually proposed to Eisenhower by members of the Federation of Worlds back in the 1950s. Right? Eisenhower said, I can't disarm, because if I disarm, I still have weapons. I mean, enemies that are not disarming. Well, you know, they were told, right? The governments of our world were told in the late 50s by the Federation that if they were to disable all of their nuclear warheads, missiles, and pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? If they were to eliminate all their weapons of mass destruction, everything, right, disarm themselves, that the Galactic Federation of Worlds would actually share all of their advanced technologies with them. But they decided not to, because apparently the U.S. government and most of the governments had fallen under the control of the military-industrial complex, right, the shadow government. So long-term consequences, right? These are long-term consequences. So apparently right now, the intervention of the Galactic Alliance would not only prevent a single catastrophic event, but would also alter the trajectory of human development. The mere presence of a higher advanced civilization willing to step into to prevent nuclear warfare could serve as a turning point in the history of the Earth. It would force humanity to confront the realities of its own destructive potential and perhaps inspire a renewed commitment to global peace and cooperation. Now, in the aftermath of such an intervention, Earth's governments might shift towards more stringent control of nuclear weapons, and the global community might adopt more robust police designed to prevent future crises. But the intervention could also lead to a revaluation of military technology, with human potentially moving away from the arms race and towards a future where peaceful technologies and cooperation take precedence over warfare. And that's where we're heading in the positive timeline, by the way, with the rolling out of all these amazing interstellar and interplanetary technologies that are actually beneficial. So the cosmic shield against, this is the best way to describe it, guys, is that there is a cosmic shield against worlds that are on the trajectory of self-destruction, okay? One of the things that the interstellar police force, known as the Galactic Federation of Worlds, now the Galactic Alliance, one of the things that they were tasked with in their monitoring of lesser developed civilizations across the universe is the fact that they had to make sure that, that planets, that underdeveloped civilizations did not ended up in destroying themselves, okay, did not end up in destruction. Well, this was before, of course, the dawning of the Empire, the Galactic Draconian Orion Empire. Back then, many worlds were being destroyed, but, that's galactic history for you guys. So the intervention of the Galactic Alliance in the event of a nuclear strike on the Earth would be a necessary and pivotal action to preserve not only the planet's survival, but also the stability across a broader cosmic community. The grid system, as an advanced technological safeguard, would neutralize the threat by shutting down all nuclear systems, ensuring that the destructive potential of these weapons would be contained. While such an intervention raises important ethical questions about autonomy and sovereignty, the greater moral responsibility of preventing planetary destruction and maintaining galactic peace without ultimate outweighed, that would ultimately outweigh these concerns. This intervention would not only prevent immediate disaster, but also provide humanity with an opportunity to reconsider its path towards peace, towards a peaceful coexistence, both on Earth, so that it could be reflected upon the greater galactic community. So in addition to all of this, again, the Argentinian government has announced, All right, this is going to be huge, guys, because a lot of people are going to be asking questions. Well, why were we lied about Hitler's suicide? Why did Hitler father so many children, right? Well, the Argentinian government is about to release all of this information relating to the smuggling of these people from Germany, including Adolf Hitler, and of course, into Argentina. This revelation by itself, guys, has the potential to reshape our understanding of a post-war history, right? We've been lied to about everything. This is going to make everybody really just question everything, including history, particularly concerning the intertwined fates of Argentina, who then was run by no other than Juan Perón. Juan Perón was actually a deep stater working with the Rothschilds. And for those that didn't know, Hitler was a bastard son of one of the Rothschilds, okay? I believe so. There is a lot of documentation that connect his bloodline to the Rothschilds. So Juan Perón, who was another globalist, was the president during those days in the 1940s. And he was the one that gave the green light for these, for Hitler and a lot of his comrades and top intelligent officials to be smuggled over into Argentina. So, this disclosure could have far-reaching implications, particularly in exposing the extent to which Nazi network infiltrated various global powers, including the United States government. Hello, Project Paperclip, the connection between the U.S. government and these Nazi networks, creating what we call today the neocons, right? The New World Order, and in turn, of course, offer critical insight into the formation and expansion of the military-industrial complex. So after the fall of Nazi Germany, apparently, for those that didn't know, a number of high-ranking officials and SS members sought refuge in South America to avoid persecution for their crimes. So Argentina, under the leadership of President Juan Domingo Perón, became one of the most significant destinations for these Nazis, primarily due to the country's political and military support for fascist ideals. So in the years following the war, the Argentinian government allowed the safe passage of many Nazi war criminals through the networks of the rat lines. All right, for those that read The Secret Government, they were actually called the Vatican rat lines. So there was a connection between the Jesuits that were in control of the Vatican, and by the way, the Jesuits were also in control of the Illuminati, and the Jesuits that were coordinating things from Argentina. Okay, and I wouldn't be surprised if Juan Perón was a Jesuit. Okay, so this network became known as the Vatican rat lines. Okay, because a lot of this was done and conducted by the Jesuits. So secret escape routes operated with the help of Catholic priests, officials, and various sympathizers within Europe and South America. The arrival of Nazi war criminals in Argentina, including the infamous figure like Adolf Eichmann and Joseph Mengele. And this is all well documented, and this is going to be released, okay? However, conspiracies, right? They call this conspiracies, have long, well, let's just be real. They're not longer conspiracies, all right? Because if you're a conspiracy theorist, is telling them that you are a critical thinker, okay? That you are a critical thinker. And by the way, it was the three-letter agency, that starts with the C, that actually created the word conspiracy theorist, okay? So, we've been lied to, right? There was no suicide in Berlin. For decades, these claims were dismissed as mere conjecture by the Argentinian government, right? And they're under this new president who is not working with the cabal, who's actually working with the alliance. Just like I said earlier, weeks ago, Doge is going to expand to other countries. What's happening here with Doge is a phenomena that is actually expanding to other countries. And this is what's causing the current president of Argentina to want to release these files as well. So there's apparently a new era of transparency that is happening now also in Argentina, okay?
Javier Milei, the president, Javier Milei.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the president. It's today. The alliance. The president that was actually picked by the alliance to do this is Javier Javier Molay. Okay, so the decision by the Argentinian government to release previously classified documents related to the Nazi smuggling could be a watershed moment in global historical scholarship. These documents would likely reveal the individuals and groups that played a role in facilitating the escape of Nazi criminals, as well as details about the operations that allow them to settle in Argentina. However, the implications of these revelations extend far beyond the shores of South America, right? As these documents come to light, get this, they will be exposing a broader geopolitical context in which post-war nations, particularly the United States, were deeply entangled with former Nazis and their networks. Well, who do you think created NASA? Who do you think created the three-letter agency that starts with a C, right? The Counterintelligence Corps. They were known as the OS, the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services. And then later they reorganized into the C, you know what I mean, right? The revelations may include evidence that some of these Nazi officials were recruited by Western powers during the Cold War, and that is a fact, right? Project Paperclip, as part of the broader struggle against the Soviet Union. Well, it wasn't really about that. It was about creating the New World Order. Let's be real. The United States, in its race to combat the spread of communism, became embroiled in covert operations that saw Nazi scientists, engineers, and intelligence officers that were brought to America under the auspices of Operation Paperclip. Well, that's what they wanted us to believe, okay? But the truth of the matter is that the Nazis, who had created a secret pact with a non-terrestrial race known as the Draco, were also used to infiltrate, right, or take the U.S. government from within by their superior technology, so that they could pretty much gain control of the U.S. government. It was never about fighting the Soviet Union.
Please tell them about your dream last week.
Okay, let's see.
About your dream that you had with the missile strikes on the EU and Russia.
Okay.
Tell them about your dream. It was Tuesday, EBS, and the mothership.
About the dream that I had last week?
Yeah.
That's kind of personal, but I guess I could share it. The U.S. government's infiltration and the rise of the military-industrial complex, the release of documents detailing the Nazi smuggling networks into Argentina could ultimately shed light on the degrees of infiltration that took place within the U.S. government, particularly in its intelligence and military sectors. So while Operation Paperclip was widely known, all right, it is also the tip of the iceberg, guys, because when it comes to the deeper ties between the U.S. government and the Nazi remnants that had a profound influence on the development of the military-industrial complex, which is, again, the front for the secret space program that they built, known as what? The Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, okay? The recruitment of former Nazis by the U.S. government in the aftermath of World War II was one of the most controversial chapters of post-war history. The U.S. government, facing the growing threat of the Soviet Union, viewed these Nazis as valuable assets, especially in areas like rocket technology, nuclear science, and military intelligence. So, the U.S. government absorbed former Nazis officials. The military-industrial complex began to take shape in ways that would later define American politics and society. The influx of Nazi expertise helped fuel the technological advancements that made the U.S. a global superpower, but it also entrenched a system of militarization and defense spending that would only grow with time. The connections between the U.S. government, Nazi scientists, and the military officials would become increasingly difficult to unravel, with many figures eventually assuming key positions in the U.S. defense industry and intelligence agencies. And it is true, all of these agencies for example, the first director of the F, and the C were actually Nazis, okay? Let's just be real. The founder of NASA, right, which was a coup, which was a front to conceal the secret space programs that was being conducted through the military-industrial complex, was also started by these Nazis. Okay, let's just be real. The intersection of Nazi smuggling, U.S. infiltration, and the military-industrial complex. So all of this stuff is going to come out due to the releasing of these documents in Argentina. The connection between the smuggling Nazis into Argentina and the rise of the U.S. military-industrial complex lies in the broader narrative of a post-war geopolitics. As the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers, both nations sought to build their military and intelligence capabilities. So the Nazis who had once fought for Hitler's regime are now seen as valuable assets in the new Cold War climate. Well, that was what they wanted us to believe. But again, the truth of the matter is that the Nazis had struck a deal with the Draconians and the negative ETs, and by inheriting advanced technologies, they were able to use those technologies when they did the famous 1955-54 flyover the Capitol. That was their way of letting the U.S. government know that, hey, we have the superior technology now. I think it's time for you to let us in, let us in, and we'll share with you guys what this technology is. And that's when the Rockefellers struck a deal with, of course, the Germans. All right, so the U.S. government... I know this is all going to come out very, very soon, All right, let's continue here. So as the documents about the Nazi smuggling networks in Argentina are released, right, they are going to reveal links between these individuals and their interactions with American military and intelligence personnel. And this is going to fuel not only what Doge has been unraveling, but what the White Hats are about to disclose here in the States. This is going to provide more evidence, okay? This could expose, and it will expose, right, a lot of stuff regarding the deep state. Because the truth of the matter is that the deep state that we've come to know is no other than the reorganized Nazis that took over the U.S. government from within. Okay, so what are some of the global implications of this revelation that is about to happen with this new Argentinian president? Okay, well, the potential release of these documents would have global consequences, raising difficult questions about the moral and ethical responsibilities of post-war governments. Right, the involvement of the U.S. in Nazi networks has long been a topic of debate, but these new revelations would offer concrete evidence of how these networks helped shape the modern world. Furthermore, the release of these documents could spark new investigations into the extent of Nazi infiltration, not only in Argentina, but also in other parts of the world, including Antarctica. Right? The role of the U.S. in protecting and absorbing Nazi officials for geopolitical purposes could lead to renewed calls for accountability and transparency, both in the context of the post-war period and the modern military-industrial complex. So the Argentinian government's decision to release documents is huge, right? It's going to literally flip the lid on everything, right? Stay tuned, guys, for what they call, I don't want to call it Big April, but it looks like April is going to be a month to remember. Okay, it's going to be a month to remember. This revelation will be exposing the depths of what's been going on for a long, long time. Ultimately, the releasing of these documents has the potential to radically shift the way we view post-war geopolitics and its enduring impact on the world today. Okay, let's see. Do I need to cover anything else? Oh, yes. I wanted to share with you guys a dream that I had about a week ago, exactly about a week, 7 days ago.
Yes.
And this dream was more of a nightmare, okay? It was about how, and first of all, I never dream in black and white. I felt like I was in one of those old episodes of I Love Lucy or Leave It to Beaver. It was black and white. It wasn't colored. So I was in this black and white dream where all of a sudden I hear it on the news and television. I hear like the sirens. I hear an emergency broadcast. I hear like, the sirens of war. Like they were just, you know, everywhere. They were going on everywhere. And in my dream, what I saw was Ukraine releasing a intercontinental ballistic missile to Russia, and then Russia firing back. And then after Russia fired back, I also saw about 15 to 20 intercontinental ballistic missiles launched by Germany, France, England, and those that are part of the European Union, like Europe. I just saw 15 to 20 missiles just going from Europe all the way to Russia. But as they were approaching the zenith of the sky before they curved back down, I also saw a huge mothercraft from the Galactic Alliance opening up a portal. There was a huge portal that opened up, sucking up all the nuclear warheads. I mean, all the missiles, or if they were nuclear warheads, I don't know what they were. It could have been that, and closing the portal. So yeah, this was a dream that I had a week ago. And in that dream, I was given a date. Now, I'm not throwing it out there because, I don't want to like cause any fear or gloom, but that date was on the 1st of April, which was tomorrow. So I'm just like, I don't know why I had that dream. It was in black and white. Again, I felt like I was in a Leave It to Beaver episode, I Love Lucy episode. I don't know why I had a black and white dream. I normally dream in color. But it was, again, yeah, it was about all the sirens were sounding. There was an emergency broadcast system on everybody's television sets. And what we saw was it was being televised. We saw these things being launched from Ukraine first to Russia, then Russia to Ukraine, and then Europe, right? The European Union, the allies, NATO, right? The allies of Ukraine, they were launching 15 to 20 of these. And right when they were about midair in the sky, a wormhole, a Stargate, opened up, and a huge mothercraft appeared and sucked all those things up into somewhere in space, I guess, to neutralize them. But yeah, that's what I saw in my dream about a week ago, and it was in black and white. So that was weird, right? I never dream in black and white. Now, I've been talking for about over an hour. I think we should open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and give some shout outs. I see Jill Hunt in the house, Amanda Tempori, Digital Warrior, Andromeda Daisy, Amelius, Jill Hunt, Ricky Lee 1111. Aaliyah Archer is in the house, and everyone else that is in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. All 2,686 people that are in the house. Welcome. All right, so what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to use my phone to take some Q&A here. And please type your questions in capital letters so that I may bypass the chat. I see all the love here. I see all the hearts. Thank you guys so much for hitting that like button. Thank you, thank you. You guys are awesome. I do have a super chat from Team Inspire. Thank you so much, Team Inspire. She says, as we ascend, will those that have not ascend like family yet know that we have ascended, or will they think we have died? Thank you. That is a very good question, Team Inspire. No, they're not going to think that we're died. First of all, we're not tasting death. We're being transfigured, just like Enoch was, right? Enoch was transfigured into an immortal, right? Enoch walked with God in the Old Testament, who, by the way, was the real scribe, not Thoth. Thoth was the hijacker, the son of Enki. So just like Enoch, we're going to be transfigured. So as we transform into these new avatars, and as we have access to this higher reality, for those that did not make this higher reality, we're still going to be able to pop into their reality at will. So no, we're still going to be around. If you're worrying about like loved ones that might not make the ascension, I wouldn't really worry about that. That's right. Christ did say to spread the truth and not religion. Thank you for that wonderful reminder. Thank you. I appreciate all the love and all the compliments here, guys. Thank you. Thank you. What do you think is going to happen on April 2nd? This is a question from Cheryl White. Wait, well, from what I heard is that the entire financial system, the fiat system as we know it, is going to crumble. And this means the ending of not only the Fed, the central banking system, the stock market crashing, and then, of course, replaced by a gold backed standard. So that could be what Trump meant when he said Liberation Day on the 2nd of January. And that's in 2 days. So I hope that when I broadcast on my next live, which is in 2 days, Wednesday night Intel update, I could have great news and we could all be celebrating Jubilee, right? It's Jubilee that we no longer use the fight and that we have transferred to a gold backed standard. I hope that is the case, guys. So that is what I think Trump meant to say on Liberation Day, April 2nd. Hopefully not April Fools, right? Hopefully not April Fools, and that's tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. No, King Charles is not the Antichrist. This is a question from Ralph. No, not from Ralph. From April Dunmore. She's asking if King Charles is the Antichrist. The answer is no. All right. The Antichrist is the machine. The Antichrist is AI. Okay. It is the rise and the emergence of AI. That is what the Antichrist is. The system of the beast, right? Which is where they hook people into the Borg, right? Just like a type of Skynet, so that they could be operated by a mind hive and fully controlled. So that is the system of the beast. So no human is the Antichrist. All right, the Antichrist is the machine, is the rise of the machines. Well, technically, the Antichrist is the spirit of the Ahriman, the Antichrist, the Archon entity, the king of the Archons, who expresses itself through technology. So as I speak, the cabal, right, BlackRock, Vanguard, and the biggest tech companies are on a race to see who could develop this superstructure, AI superstructure, so that the Antichrist could embody and emerge through the technology. So the Antichrist is really the consciousness of the Archon entities that express themselves through artificial intelligence. Stuart Williams, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. He says, Ishmael, I thought you said that the Ark of the Covenant was some sort of a Stargate. Yes, it is used for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons that it was used for was as a weapon by the Israelites, the early Israelites. But another way that it was used is that it's as an interdimensional portal to access the different realms. Okay, so yes, it is also an interdimensional portal. Yeah, it's got multifaceted. What's the word I'm looking for? It's used for multiple things. It's used for multiple things. That's why it's always been such a carefully guarded relic by the Brotherhood of Light, right? Because again, if this relic would have gotten to the hands of the Cabal, say it got into the hands of of the Roman Empire, right? The Cabal back then, 2,000 years ago, or even if it got into the hands of the Vatican, right? The Vatican, they would have used it for evil. They probably would have already dominated the world.
Wolf Mother has a good question. Have you heard of a lot of people disappearing in April? First waivers?
That's a huge probability, yes. Wolf Mother, to answer your question, if I've heard if a lot of people could be disappearing, it's not that they're going to be disappearing. Let me just remind you guys, the word rapture means to shift reality. So yeah, it appears to be, it seems to imply a sense of disappearing, but all you're doing is translating into the new earth reality. But you're still going to be able to come back and forth. You're going to be able to jump in and out of reality, in and out of this reality to the new earth reality, until, of course, the second wave at the end of this year and the third wave, which is sometime mid 2026. And by then, of course, the timeline split would be fully separated, would have fully happened already, where the organic time one goes one way and the technocratic dystopian timeline goes another way.
Ron Safried, Ishmael, I see ET friendship in addition to the med beds as part of our healing? Question mark.
Do you see ET what? Friendship?
ET friendship. So mentorship in addition to med beds.
Yes, it is believed that some of the ETs, when we do establish first contact, for those that shift into the fourth D Earth, where we're going to be employing all of this advanced technologies, there's going to be a lot of mentorships happening with the positive extraterrestrials. Yes, they're going to be instructing people as to how to navigate Starfleet spacecraft so that they could begin recruiting humans into the Galactic Alliance.
Simple life. If we live in multiple dimensions, why can I only remember and experience this one?
All right, so there was a question from Simple Life. If we live in multiple dimensions, why am I only able to experience this one? That is a very good question. That is a very good question. Well, the reason being is because we do occupy multiple bodies on different dimensions, multiple avatars. There's only a fraction of your consciousness needed to animate this body. And due to the veil of forgetfulness, we completely forget that we do operate in other realities with other avatars, Our consciousness, guys, your consciousness is so vast that you only need about 1% of your consciousness to operate in this reality, right? When you're literally, the other 99% of your consciousness is operating in multiple realities, all concurrently, simultaneously. Mind-blowing information. Okay, let's see.
Read Stuart Williams' question. Super chat.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So again, Stuart Williams, the Ark of the Covenant has multiple usages. One of them is that it's a weapon, a mass destruction used by the good guys to defeat the bad guys, those that come from the human reptilian hybrid bloods. And then, of course, it's also used as an interdimensional portal so that the non-terrestrials, or what the Bible calls the angels, could come in at will. And humans could also go through the portal and, of course, visit Andromeda, visit other star systems, and so on and so forth. I'm sorry. Earlier I said that the 6 winged angels that were assigned to protect it, right, were actually Pleiadians. Right now, Commander Valiant Thor is telling me that no, they were not Pleiadians. They were actually Andromedans. The Andromedans are the archangels in the Bible. My bad. The 6 winged angels in the Bible are the Andromedans. So the Ark of a Covenant was an interdimensional portal to Andromeda. All right, to Andromeda. Okay, there we go. Now that I clear that up.
Old School Ways says, Ishmael, will the power grid be shut down? Do we need to stock up on water?
Absolutely, yes. Especially because I've been hearing rumors of war. I don't know if this is coming from the AI-generated negative Trump, as there are multiple Trumps. But he did say that he is getting ready to bomb Iran, and that's why the Doomsday airplane I guess it landed over into one of their bases called Offutt Base, which is, again, the U.S. headquarters strategic defense center. So if that is correct, guys, we're definitely going to need about 2 weeks of food supply because the Galactics will be having to intervene. What's this? So Iran's supreme leader warns that Trump's threat to bomb Iran would spark retaliation. And yes, it is true that Iran does have nukes, okay? Unfortunately, the witch and Billy Bob Bill were the ones who gave them the nukes when Billy Bob Bill, who was, putting stuff in Monica Lewinsky's thing, was the one who gave Iran the nukes, okay? Trump warns Iran and threatens to bomb them after mullahs reject nuclear weapons. Okay, so this is coming from the end time headlines. Final warning. Okay, so this is real, guys. But again, this is all setting the stage for a Galactic Alliance intervention, as I stated earlier, right? As revealed by Commander Valiant Thor, that in that event, that the Galactics will have to execute an emergency rescue intervention event.
Someone's asking, can your twin flame take us out in prayer tonight? Yeah, I will. I'm good at prayers.
Okay, we can do that. Let's see. Yes, we will be fine. That's right. We have nothing to worry about. Right? This Earth is meant to ascend. There will be no nukes. You've always dreamed in black and white until the other night. So what does it mean, guys? I don't know. I'm not really good at dreams or interpreting dreams, but I always dream in color. And all of a sudden I had this dream about nukes, but it was all in black and white. I don't know what it means to dream in black and white, but maybe some of you guys could answer that. If you guys could write it in the chat, I would like to hear your thoughts on that. Yes, for the most part, I do dream in color. I think this was probably one of the few dreams that I had in black and white. Is there another question?
Just pray.
Oh, we're going to pray now? Let me answer 2 more questions and then we could pray. 2 more questions. All right, this is a question from Ricky Lee 1111. He says, Ishmael, I've heard that the Carians, blue avians, were an older race than the Lyrans. Yes, they were. Yes, the Carians, which some people in our community call the blue avians, actually had already reached completion in a different universe before the creation of our universe. So they are billions and billions of years old, way before the Lyrans. And yes, they were actually instrumental, as revealed in the galactic history. They were instrumental in the development of the stargates, connecting planet to planet, system to system, and so on and so forth throughout the universe. So yeah, they are an ancient race, billions and billions of years old. And I do have another super chat from Rohini. Welcome, Rohini. Welcome, welcome. When is your next class, Ascension Basics? That is a good question. I don't know, but I believe that because I don't know. I think I might have one spot. Let me check for you right now. Ascension Basics. I might have some room left for Ascension Basics. All right. So let me check my website. Ascension Basics. Okay. So Ascension 2.0 is booked. Ascension Basics is booked. Ooh. And I only have 2 spots left for our Cosmic Origin, which begins in 2 weeks. So I only have 2 spots left for our Cosmic Origin, which begins in 2 weeks. Okay? I'm sorry, guys. Ascension Basics and Ascension 2.0 are fully booked. But yeah, class starts April 27th. So you guys actually have 3 weeks. So if you guys want to take our Cosmic Origin course, I would get on that immediately before it gets booked. All right, going back to the questions, and then we'll end with a prayer.
Pretty much watch the media, and something is going to take place in the next 5 days. How many of you remember that? So I'm saying it with Dr. Brett on this time. What the Lord just showed me, I got to release it to you. But how many of you remember that? Because I want Dr. Brett to see it. How many remember what happened within that 5? It actually happened on the 5th day.
Yes, it did.
It actually happened on the 5th day. Come on, put it up there. I remember. Put it. That's right. And we saw what happened on the 5th day. I didn't realize that it was Donald Trump's 100th day in office. I didn't know that the 5th day. Many of you said, yes, remember, you saw what happened. You saw what happened. And Donald Trump was at the funeral of the Pope. And he was talking to the Ukrainian president and about all that. That was a huge thing. All the leaders came to give respect to the Pope, homegoing. And right in front of all the leaders, according to the media, they said they sat down and they just had a meeting. It wasn't planned. It just Trump said, "Hey, let's talk about this whole thing," and that happened. And then the minute the Italians started to talk about it and the news saw it, then Russia decides, okay, I'm going to throw missiles in. And it was unnecessary, but blah, blah, blah happened. Many of you remember that. It happened right on the 5th day. And I have to tell you, saints, God said, tell my children now, count it. It's on, count it. The next 10 days, surprise. Oh my God. I was going to think 5. God said, no, tell them 10 days, 10 days. Put it on there right now. 10 days, something, surprise. So, okay, something's going to hit. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the stocks. I don't know if it's going to be the political move. I don't know if it's going to be the rockets. But the Lord said the next 10 days, come on guys, put on there 10 days within now. And 10 days, I'm saying it right there before Dr. Brad. By the 10 days, I'll be back from Atlanta. So I don't know if that's it, but the whole idea, I just know that 10 days, put on there, 10 days surprise, 10 days surprise. There it is, David. Because we're going to replay this video. Between now and 10 days, whoa, my God. I mean, I'm not talking about the normal media night fake news. I'm talking about it won't be fake news. It's going to be real news. It's going to be real news, and they can't hide it. They won't be able to hide it. Glory to God. Hallelujah. Come on, put it up there. Tell your family, tell your friends, if they don't believe that God's moving, they're going to believe it when they see this. Glory to God. Hallelujah. And Dr. Brett, I know we caught you at an awkward moment by the pool. We're going to release you back to your daughters. Is there a word of God you want to release? Whatever you go ahead. I'm giving you the floor. Do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, just stand. Stand right now and give God praise. Do not be swayed by what you see, by the Midianites. Keep your eyes focused on Jesus, because we are in the hour now of seeing a great surprise, as Dr. Manuel just said. This is the hour of the manifestation of God's surprises for his people. He said to me a month ago, Dr. Manuel, he said, watch, for there shall be shaking and quaking, but I will have my people under my shadow, and I will have them in a place that they know called Goshen. And they will see the blessings of my hand. When the world is turned upside down, my people shall be blessed, and they will be in a place of not even wanting. I will bless them above and beyond. So I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Because the surprise that Dr. Manuel is speaking of, that God has spoken to him, God has spoken to many of us, and we are now in that hour where the surprise of God's divine glory, his faithfulness, and his love towards his own children, it's getting ready to come. And we're getting ready to stand in awe and say, look at what you have done, Lord. Look at your love for me. So stand and rejoice and give God praise in advance. This is surely our time. Don't miss Glory in America in Atlanta. And make sure that you register. While we've been on, Dr. Manuel, we've had several that have registered. So make sure you go and register today at gloryinamerica.com and meet us in Atlanta. It's going to be glorious. God's glory is truly going to cover Atlanta and Georgia, and you don't want to miss it. We're 6 days away. It's free. Go register. Come from all areas and meet us there. We are going to experience Jesus.
Say that again. It's free. They like it when you say that. Say it
It's
again.
free. That registration is free. Register today. You've got Dr. Manuel, Dr. Bo, Dr. Wren, Dr. Charlie, Apostle Brandon. All of us are going to be there. Marianne and I. It's going to be a glorious time. We can't wait to hug your necks, meet you, minister to you, and experience the glory with you. We're family. We're the kingdom of God. And it's going to be glorious. Don't miss it.
Praise the Lord. All right. All right. Get everybody, give the big family a big hug for all of us here. We love you guys. And Dr. Brett, we will see you guys in a few days. And me and Bo will be leaving, on our plane to California up to Atlanta, Georgia. Many of us want to see you, saints. We want to see you and greet you and love on you. We get a chance to hear you and chat and all that, but now we want to see you face to face. Glory to God.
It's going to be awesome.
We get a chance to see that. So it's a good chance. You get a chance to see Dr. Brett. And